to Real Estate with Annie, and today it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you Stephen Gulbranson from Morgans Financial. Welcome, Stephen. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today.
It's great to be here, Annie.
Okay, so we're having tea, morning tea. Right, today I'd really like to talk to you about when should someone actually look for an advisor, a financial advisor. When's the best time?
The best thing I could ever suggest is time. There is no real silver bullet or magic formula in order to get you ahead. Largely you'll become successful in your own right. What we do is try and caretake the resources that you manage to put in. So given that realistically time and patience are the two best ingredients, and part of time is the contributions that you make into your nest egg or into your superannuation.
Right. So I know that you also specialise in aged care. Now, what could you tell us about that?
Unfortunately, the growing percentage of people in Australia needing aged care is rising, and this is a trend which is probably fairly unlikely to go backwards given our aging demographic. It can be very expensive, but there are plenty of different strategies in order to get either yourself, a family member into aged care and to ensure cash flow and the estate.
Okay, so tell me, what age group or what do you find that people actually coming to you with this situation, with the aged care, if and when they are coming?
8 in 10 people will be the children. And funnily enough, it'll come after a significant event, such as Easter or Christmas or a birthday. And generally speaking, we've all got our own lives, sadly, and we don't have as much time as what we'd like. So it's generally after these periods of time where we get together and see what state or condition either mum or dad or grandma and grandpa are in. So given that, I find that a lot of people will use my services around those times. Purely for the fact that it's become pretty apparent that they're not looking after themselves as best as they can.
Okay, so tell me, what's the number one advice you could give people 60 plus?
A plan. Make a strategy in place. Life isn't linear, so effectively you won't go from A to B without going through a few other places in between. But knowing which general direction you're going to and planning for things which are reasonably foreseeable is probably the best thing that you can do. There's plenty of legislation which helps you do that, and a lot of legislation that people just don't know. So always knowing those legislative topics, or at least having them in the back of your mind when you're making a decision, can be the difference between having a really enjoyable retirement without stress, or having to solve all these problems in an opportunity which is not of your choosing.
So really, the best time to see a financial advisor would be as soon as possible, no matter what age you are, just getting to see you.
Look, that's always my premise. However, a lot of the time we are basically pushed by circumstance. I just think it's better to not have to deal with the circumstance and deal with a nice, orderly, leisurely pace.
So, with the age group of 60 plus, what percentage would you say would have a plan in place?
I reckon a lot of people would have some sort of resemblance of a plan. They know where they want to play golf on the weekend, they'll know where they want to go holidaying in the next year. They'll have a bit of an idea of what their asset position is, but they don't actually take necessarily any care of what legislation is out there. So they might use superannuation as a structure, but they're not necessarily taking advantage of it to its full capacity. And I really don't mean taking additional risk. I might mean you can change a superannuation to being a tax-free model rather than paying 15%. That could make the difference between hundreds of thousands over the last 20 odd years of your working life.
Wow.
So again, there's no silver bullet, but there are plenty of little levers that you can pull to make yourself in a better position going into your final working years.
Well, Steve, it sounds like you have so much information to give, and I would highly recommend for people to get in contact with you. So where can one find you? Where's the best place?
Give me a call, send me an email. I'm available online. There are plenty of places you can track down my details. At the end of the day, just feel comfortable talking to someone. If it's me, that's fantastic. I can really help. but get your life in order in terms of where you think you're going to go, and that's important.
Okay. Now, do you just work in certain areas?
I'm happy to go most places. It really doesn't bother me where a client comes from. I've got clients in Tasmania, I've got clients in Northern Territory,
Wow.
and everywhere in between, so it really doesn't bother me.
Well, I'll leave your details below anyway, but right now, Stephen, I'd just like to say it's been an absolute pleasure just chatting with you today. So that's it from us, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.